I'm Brandon Smith, and I'm the workplace therapist. My entire purpose and passion in life is one singular thing, and that's to help you live a life free from dysfunction. And let's be honest, folks, dysfunction is everywhere. Our bosses, our coworkers, our neighbors, even that grumpy barista that pours your coffee. And sometimes, that dysfunction stares back at us in the face when we're getting ready in the mornings and we see ourselves in the mirror. Well, at the end of the day, life and work should not have to suck. The purpose of this show is to help you overcome those roadblocks in your life to help you realize the life you've always wanted. This is the Brandon Smith Show. I am your host, Brandon Smith, and the entire purpose of this show is one singular thing, and that is to help you live a life more free from dysfunction. So to that point, our topic today is one that I think we can all relate to. It's 3 ways and 3 tips for maximizing your health during the workday. So who doesn't need to maximize their health during the workday? And to help us with that, I've got a good friend and expert with us, Dr. Arefa Cassoobhoy, Senior Medical Director for Webmd. I love it.
Yes, thank you so much, Brandon.
Thank you for coming on, Arefa.
Thank you. I've learned so much from you over all these years. It's really exciting to be here with you.
Well, I'm excited for you to help us with our health today.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about, so you and I were joking, and I said, so what's your title these days? And I even had to write it down, Senior Medical Director. This is a big deal. So tell us a little bit about what your role at WebMD is an important one. Tell us a little bit more about that, and tell us how you got here. How'd you get in that seat?
That sounds good. So my name is Arefa Cassoobhoy. I'm an internist, still practicing in Atlanta. But my full-time job is now at WebMD, like we talked about, and I'm Senior Medical Director. So I'm on the team that makes sure everything you see across the site is medically accurate and that it's up to date, that it's in language that's understandable. So that covers the website, any videos you see, the magazine.
So what you said right there, that's not an easy task because you got to make sure everything's accurate. So there's a lot of kind of research and fact checking that goes into it.
We have a big team. We have docs in-house, like myself, and then we have about 150 doctors that are out in the community. They've got full-time jobs. They're professors. They're practicing physicians. We send them material. They can check and make sure that everything is, really correct. It's set in the right tone and angle, and then we can help make sure, that's correct on the site.
That's fantastic. So people know they can trust all that information
they're reading. They can trust it, yes. If you're reading a cancer article, usually an oncologist in that particular field has read the article.
That's fantastic. And the second part you said about that was then you kind of change the language, or you work with the language to make it accessible.
Yes.
Which is also not an easy task because a physician talking to another physician might use language that a layperson may not quite understand, or might even be a little scary. So
exactly. And then when research studies come out with complicated language and then it gets translated into layman's terms, there was a study that just came out where they were talking about walking and how many steps people make across the world in different countries. And then they labeled Americans as lazy, but I don't know if lazy was the right word because it was really that they just walk fewer steps. Yeah. Lazy sort of implies something. So that's the kind of thing that I would check when we translated a research study to an actual article.
Wow, super cool.
On the site. And then the other job I have is Senior Medical Correspondent at Medscape. And that's WebMD's sister company. And that's a site for information for healthcare professionals, so doctors, pharmacists, and nurses. And I have a weekly video show that comes out with the latest news for primary care docs. And it's a podcast as well, actually.
Okay, so you're like this Uber educator and translator.
Yeah, I guess so.
I like that. Senior Uber medical translator.
I love it.
And educator.
I'm going to go to WebMD and tell them that.
I have a new title.
Right.
I'm sure there could be a pay bump associated with that title.
Maybe.
Okay, so how did you get doing this?
Well, it's a really good story, actually. So about 10 years ago, I had my second child. I was working part-time, and I was interested in getting into the healthcare education field. I have a master's in public health. I always wanted to get back to that. And it took a few years. When my son and daughter were in school, I ended up meeting this mom and I connected with her. Initially, we didn't even know we were both physicians, and we were just moms at the school. And then we realized we were both physicians. I realized she was the pediatrician for WebMD. I was super excited about what she did. We went to coffee. It's classic networking, which is something that's challenging for me. And she offered me a position to freelance for them. So to be one of those 150 doctors that's out in the community that gets articles, reads them, makes sure they're medically accurate. Because everything on our site gets reviewed every 2 years by a doc. So I started doing that. So I was working in clinic part-time, raising my family, reading these articles, and it was so much fun. I really, really enjoyed it. So when the full-time position opened up, I applied for it, and I was able to get it. And 4 years later, here I am.
Never underestimate the power of your kid's school.
I know.
Like never under playground conversations.
Yes.
PTA meetings.
Yes, absolutely.
All networking opportunities.
Yes.
Fantastic. Awesome. Okay. All right. So for our topic today, I mean, it's a pretty big, heavy topic.
It is a heavy topic,
I've
yes.
kind of thrown the gauntlet out there. I need 3 tips for maximizing our health at the workday.
Yes.
What
and there's so many directions to go with that. I mean, just everything I've learned from you over the years. But I thought what I would do is focus on nutrition and exercise and stress. Those are the classic big ones. It's easy to get anxious and overwhelmed in the office, especially if you have a tough home life and you're just driving around with the kids and you got things going on. They have to come in and be productive at work and efficient and effective and communicate well. There's so many criteria.
Yeah.
And so you can feel tense and tired, and it can manifest as neck pain and headaches and stomach aches. So I think really focusing on your health during the workday is an easy way to start incorporating good habits and lower that stress level down, and know that you're doing a few things right, and that'll get you through the day.
Yeah, so I want to jump into them, and I want to talk about nutrition in a minute as your first one. But it was really cool the way you were talking about it. It was almost like I could visualize, like you can get a little more control over your life.
Yes, exactly.
This is almost like another way of saying you can gain a little bit more control over your health, but also your life in the middle of all this craziness that you're probably in.
That's exactly right.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I know you didn't learn anything around nutrition from me, so I would love to learn on this. Tell me about nutrition. What are some things we need to keep top of mind?
Well, when I think of nutrition, I'm also thinking of just mealtime in general. So we know in our society, mealtime is a time to relax, right? It's when we socialize, it's when we relax, it's when we take a break. So it's important, I think, not to work at your desk. It's important to take a step away and take a break, even if it's 10 to 15 minutes, walk to another space and eat your lunch. It'll help you focus on your lunch or your snack, whatever it is. Be mindful. We hear that term thrown around a lot today, but it's true. If you step away from the desk, don't look at your work, just enjoy your meal, you'll end up feeling satisfied and fuller longer. The next step is what you're actually eating. And I think with the workday, for those of you who are in the corporate environment and you have a official start time and a finish time, and you're probably eating lunch at the same time every day, why not add in another habit? And that'll be something that's easy to pick up. So I have a salad every day, and I make it at home, actually, but it's easy to buy that as well. But I keep it upside down, actually. So the lettuce is on top, the liquid's on bottom, anything that's going to get mushy, that's on the bottom. And then I eat that. I have whatever leftovers or healthy meals, I'll incorporate, I'll bring that in. And the big thing is that, for one, it's a healthy meal, and I'm saving calories for the weekend. I'm also saving that fancy meal for the weekend when I'm with my family and want to enjoy that time. I'm really keeping it structured at work. But when I move to the WebMD kitchen, it allows me social time. So we've talked about it, like at a meeting, you're really not supposed to be chit-chatting about your vacation or the movie you saw, or, you want to be efficient and to the point and get your work done. But in the kitchen, you can have those conversations, and that allows you to build friendships and build communication skills, communication with your peers. You're smiling.
I'm so smiling. I'm so
You're
smirky.
smiling.
I'm so smirky right now. I am, because what you're saying is so funny. If we roll back the clock 30, 40, or even more years, what you're saying is people would say, well, yeah, we go out for lunch, or I eat lunch with my coworkers, and we talk about things. But in this country and this culture today, workplace culture,
yes,
it just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. And if you bring your lunch and you sit even in your office space that's designated for that, you're saving time in terms of finding your lunch and walking to the restaurant and coming back. And you're getting that socialization. And that is something that you actually have to be intentional about and prioritize in this day and age.
Yeah. Do you find that, I often, when I talk to, say, folks from Europe, for example, they buck against the idea of doing working lunches. They're like, no, that's culturally a no-no here for us. We don't work during lunch. We take lunch off. And
yes.
Do you find there's even cultural differences around that?
I'm sure there are. I wish the culture here encouraged that. I've started doing it. One thing was, from your advice to me over the years to network, I'm just not someone that's going to schedule lunches out and breakfasts and coffees. So for me, forcing myself to go and be vulnerable sitting alone in the WebMD office it's
I just picture you like the lunchroom table sitting all by yourself.
Well, so I actually
will somebody please join me at the table?
I talked about this at a WebMD, like a women's event, and they all started laughing at me because here I am, a WebMD doctor. Who would think that I'm shy? But it's been fantastic. It's been 2 years now that I made myself do it. But I have lunch regularly now with a bunch of coworkers that I don't necessarily interact with at meetings, and it's great. It's absolutely great. And it gives me that break. So when I go back to work, I'm relaxed, rested, and ready to focus again on the next task. In terms of adding to that in nutrition, I would suggest, again, don't keep any food, don't eat the food at your desk. Try to drink water and non-sugary drinks.
Right now.
Limit your coffee.
I'm listening to Dr. Arefa right now, drinking water.
The big thing with that is you're avoiding those sugar highs and lows. Right, so you've got just a steady flow of energy through the day. And I compare it to how we're all so good about telling our kids to eat nutritiously before sports events and to manage their nutrition for their sports activities. It's the same idea, but it's for the workday. So
love it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we got nutrition down.
Got nutrition.
What's our second one?
Second one is walking. I think everybody should walk during their workday. And there's a lot of important reasons. When you're stressed out at work, actually getting up and moving away from your desk, it automatically relaxes you. And taking a 10-minute walk, it's going to energize you the way some people might say a cup of coffee would. But you actually got outside and took a walk, right? So rather than getting that cup of coffee, that third, fourth cup of coffee, or having that sugar snack, go outside and take a quick walk. It's also important because it helps you calm down. So if you're in a stressful situation, whether it's a complicated project you're working on or a complicated communication situation where you're having to talk through with other members of your team and you want to be able to be friendly and approachable and make progress and not be angry and encourage dysfunction. The walking away for 10 minutes really is a big deal. It'll help with that. And I find that taking the 10 to 15 minutes to take a walk, it makes me more efficient. So I'm not losing productivity time. I'm actually gaining.
Okay, so I've got some questions about that.
Okay.
But before I hit that, we've come to our break.
Okay, already.
Okay, already. I told you, time flies. Time flies on this show. So we're going to take a quick break and probably go for a walk. And then when we come back from our break, I've got more questions for Dr. Arefa specifically about the walking thing, because I've heard some different thoughts on this, and I'd love to get your perspective.
Sure.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
job plus the right culture plus the right boss equals workplace happiness. The number one reason people leave jobs is problems with their boss. A horrible boss can make us dread every Monday, but an amazing boss can make us so excited to work that we'd go in on weekends. Finding your perfect boss is not only possible, it's one of the most impactful steps you can take in crafting your perfect career. Visit theworkplacetherapist.com and click on guides to learn how to find and get your perfect boss, whether that means making the decision to move on or turning your current boss into the perfect leader you want them to be. Our bosses have so much influence over our work and our whole day. Working for the right boss alone can be a winning career strategy.
Welcome back from the break. This is the Brandon Smith Show, and today we're talking about how do we manage our health and maximize our health in the workday. And we've got Dr. Arefa Cassoobhoy with us today, and she's already been hitting a couple important points. We talked about nutrition. We're in the middle of our second one, which is walking. So I said right before break, I've got some questions for you.
Yeah, tell me.
So there's this whole thing that's famous the last couple of years around sitting disease.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us a little bit of what is sitting disease?
Right. So,
or what does that mean, or what is that?
Well, there's been research that people that are in office positions where they're just sitting all day and they're not moving around are not as healthy, and they think that there may be that it may be independent of actually exercising. So it's not that they're not exercising and that's making them sick. It's that they're actually sitting. So there's a lot of confusion around that. I mean, and there's a lot of new ideas and theories coming up around it. A lot of people in my office, including myself, we have standing desks. I'm not really sure if it improves my health all that much, but I do like alternating in an 8-hour day sitting and standing. So it works for me and it helps me stay motivated and energized, and I can shift and stand and wander around and do some desk yoga while I'm listening to a conference call. But yeah, that's where all that comes from. You
should do videos of you doing desk yoga while you're on a conference call.
So my project manager,
be actually fantastic and really funny.
My project manager for the medical team, she is a yogi, so she has done those videos. You can find them on our site, and they're fantastic. Great. So she leads yoga exercises for us in the office a couple times a week. So it's not just, I think that's something that's really important. It's not just that it has to be walking. It's that moving away and doing something active that allows you to take a break from your work. So your brain gets a break and you can come back refocused. But along with that, I think that walking encourages your team culture to really promote wellness. So I think it's a great thing for leaders to do. We have one-on-ones with leaders in our office that are always walking meetings. And I was
going to ask you about walking meetings.
Yeah,
I was really curious about the walking meetings, and then she got there.
I love them. So I have an extra pair of shoes in the office, and I actually have some coworkers that even keep a T-shirt so they can change and go, I'm right near Piedmont Park, so I can take a quick walk and come back.
It's a little hot and sticky out right now.
Yeah, so it doesn't work right now. But anywhere you can do it. I think that there's a different atmosphere to the conversation when you're walking and you're side by side. For me, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to ask someone, hey, let's go take a quick walk. It's more impromptu. It's more casual. It can be shorter than a networking meal. So I think it's great for networking. Again, like I said before, it's great for the one-on-ones as well. So,
and there's something about getting, quote unquote, off campus,
yes,
where it just changes the tone and tenor of conversations. People will talk about stuff that maybe they wouldn't talk about when they're inside the four walls of where they work.
Correct. Yeah. And you can hit bigger, higher level ideas, right? Because you don't need that piece of paper to take notes on it to do. So this email needs to go out and this technical thing needs to get done. You can really focus on bigger issues. And that's important for teams to really get their projects off the ground. So
nice. Okay. So nutrition, number one, walking, number two, there's a third one.
Stress. And that's a big one.
That doesn't sound like a happy one, though. Like the first two is do the first two. The last one's I don't want to do that one.
Well, I feel like with our lives as busy as they are, we just have to acknowledge that there's stress in our life and really spin it to be good stress, right? And then and look to say that whatever is negative stress, we're going to let it go, or we're going to do what we can to make ourselves stronger to deal with it.
Nice.
So, and I think about trying to stay in the moment. That's something that you've spent a lot of time teaching me about. So you want to be in the moment, with whether you're with your family or you're in a meeting. So one thing that I think helps eliminate stress is turning all notifications off on the computer and phone. And I'm really passionate about that.
I love that idea, but I'm getting uncomfortable just hearing it.
I know.
I'm kind of nervous.
We really don't need to know most things in that 1 to 2 second time. And that's a lot coming from me, because in the journalism world, and we're not a newspaper at WebMD, but we do watch cutting edge news and want to know things in real time. And we have to turn news events, health news events around very quickly. So, but really no one needs to know anything right away. So I think that if you can turn off your notifications and then focus on your task, so don't multitask. And that's part of the reason I'm telling people to walk away and to eat lunch away. When you're working, you're working. And when you finish your task, whether it's 30 minutes or 1 hour, then go and check into your email, check into social media if that's part of your job.
So some people prescribe this, and I'll just be curious what your thoughts are. So I think it's kind of a version of what you're saying. Some people say block off certain times of the day, and that's when you check email. So they're very rigid about it. They're almost like they schedule that time. Like the rest of the time, they don't look at it.
And I probably do something very similar, but I focus on my productive time. So I know that I can't do anything more than 2 hours. So I will schedule, like, I don't know, prepping for this show. So I schedule in 30 minutes each day to quickly kind of think about things, make sure I got the map to get here correctly. What are we going to talk about? Is there anything I want to research? And do it in 30-minute slots, and then move on to the next task of the day.
So if I looked at your calendar, it'd be a lot of just 30-minute blocks?
I won't necessarily put those in, but I will put in time for lunch and bigger meetings. And yes, I mean, I don't block off everything, but I am a big calendar person. And I do believe in instead of spending one day doing one job all day long, breaking it up into pieces.
Okay, cool. Anything else around stress? So you talked about taking, you know what, this is where I struggle with a little bit. Help me a little bit more on the identifying positive stress versus negative stress, like stuff that I can grow from and maybe can help make me more resilient versus stuff that, yeah, that just needs to go away or get rid of it. How do we know that?
Yeah, I think all of us struggle with that from day to day, but I just look at, like, my job is so fun that when I've got a big speaking engagement coming up or a project that I'm going to have to present in public, I get stressed, but I know that, okay, I will schedule it out, I will be ready, and when it's time, it'll happen. And I focus on that. And then I think it's really important for people to look at what they have control over and what they don't have control over. So in the workplace, you may have control over somewhat over your own team dynamics, but you may not have control over other teams in your company. And so it's a matter of accepting that, deciding what your strategy is, and then letting go. In the workplace especially, most things aren't personal. It's the other person's baggage, or it's a task that needs to be completed. The company has objectives that just need to get met. But otherwise, you're going to do your job just the best you can and take it from there. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So I think I got a good kind of a framing for it. I got to kind of reframe things if I can.
Yes.
Keep things in perspective.
Yes.
And kind of acknowledge what is stuff that I can control and what's like other people's stuff.
I'm just going to have to let go and accept. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So we've got our 3 things. We've got nutrition, we've got walking, and we've got stress and understanding how to manage that better. All right. So we've got a little bit of time left before I ask you my last question. So let's go to the opposite of that. What would be signs that all 3 of those are out of whack? So if someone's listening right now and they're thinking, yeah, I'm not sure I'm in really good shape, how would they know on the other side that if they came and saw you as their physician, that you would say, yeah, clearly these are some things that you need to work on?
Well, the one thing that's coming to my mind is their sleep. I find that people who aren't sleeping well, that's an important issue to explore. Is there actually a medical issue? Sleep apnea is really common in the United States. It's underdiagnosed. Maybe there's a medical issue and that needs to be addressed. And if you can get people to sleep better, then they wake up refreshed and all the other problems during the day go away because they have the energy to deal with it.
I need to go take a nap. I'm feeling sleepy right now.
And the other thing is that if there's an issue with anxiety or depression, that can impact sleep. People sleep more, sleep less. And I mean, this is sort of, I'm focusing on one piece, but I do think that people who are sleeping well and who prioritize getting quality sleep, other things start to fall into place.
So without having medical instruments and other ways to measure that, what are kind of a quick checklist that you would ask somebody about sleep? Like what questions would you ask?
Are you falling asleep as fast as you think you should go to sleep? Do you sleep at a regular time every day? When you wake up in the morning, are you exhausted? Do your teeth hurt because maybe you're biting down or grinding? Does your partner or anyone else in the room say you're snoring and it sounds like you're gasping? Those are just a few questions that are coming to mind, but that is the type of thing I will ask.
Great questions.
And then if they're telling me they have trouble sleeping, I'll go through quick sleep hygiene tips if you're interested in that. But I think everybody should sleep in a room that's quiet. And that sounds obvious, but here in Atlanta, there are trains that go by, there's roads, there's the highway, there's dogs barking. So
we got plenty of cars in this town.
Yes, so making sure the room's quiet. It might mean that you need to add white noise to help you focus. The room should be cool and it should be dark. So blackout curtains are important to really get that hotel feel, right? People always say they sleep well in a hotel. It's because they're cold, they're dark, and they're quiet. Making sure your room is really only for sleep and sex, right? Like you should be you shouldn't be eating in bed, you shouldn't be watching TV in bed. Electronics shouldn't be in the bed. So those are things that people can do quickly to changes they can make to really improve the quality of their sleep and therefore wake up rested.
And one last thing around sleep before I ask you my final question.
Sure.
You didn't mention a set number. You didn't say you must get 7 hours, you must get 6.5, you must get 8. Is there a golden number that you strive for?
There is no golden number. In general, adults need about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Some need 9, some need 6.
I'm a champ. I'm getting them.
I know with my children, I have actually timed to see how much they sleep when there isn't an alarm. And I know that when they have heavy swimming days, they're swimmers, that both my kids need like 11 hours. And that if
Before or after?
After.
Yeah.
And so I need to be cognizant of that because 11 hours is a long time. That means they really need to be in bed by 8 o'clock if they're going to get up at 7. So I kind of keep track of that myself, what time I wake up if I don't have an alarm.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. So we've learned a lot today about nutrition, and we've learned a lot about walking. We've learned a lot about stress, and then we've added in sleep as a bonus.
Yes.
So I always ask all my guests this final question. So what's one life hack you have for us on how we can make our lives more free from dysfunction, either personally or professionally?
Okay. Yeah, so this is a different tangent. I'm not going to talk about the typical wellness. I think calendars are really important. So my family, we use Google Calendar, and I feel like it's really reduced the stress in my life. So on our calendar, we have one that's specific to our children and our babysitters connected, and my 13-year-old's on it as well. All their drop-offs and pickups are on that. So if I'm here on camera with you and there is an issue with a ride outside, I don't need to worry and be anxious. Is my son going to get picked up? Is my daughter going to get picked up? Because multiple people have access to our calendar. They know the location of where the pickup is, phone numbers if needed, and they can communicate with each other and get the job done and take care of themselves. So we keep a real-time calendar for that that can get updated. And my husband works shifts, so it's important so that if he is not working, and I can't keep track of his schedule, and he wants to show up for some kids event, he can get there. And the same for me as well. I can look and see, oh, I'm done early. I can head to to the baseball fields. I think that allows for better communication because we're more relaxed. We all know we're going to get where we need to go. We just need to get there so we can enjoy the moment. And it makes for less stressful weekends, like birthday parties. I put the address in the calendar. I'm not searching on my email for that evite to figure out where to go. I just look on the calendar. So I really think that's really important for personal life and for work life. And I think work life, we do it anyway.
Yeah.
But to run our home life like we would our office week helps the flow. The other thing I do with the calendar is I keep a task list. Now, a lot of people have pros and cons about to-do lists. They say they're overwhelming and they can't deal with the stress. But I have acknowledged that to-do lists are not meant to ever be complete. They're just a place to put stuff. And there are things at the bottom of my to-do list that I'm not getting to them for like 2 years, like big projects. But every day when I get to work, and even on the weekends, I have like a couple of things that must be done by the end of the day, and a couple of things I'd like to work on because I want them done by the end of the week, and that helps.
I love that. I love the idea of calendars where you took it, because it's not just what I would have expected, which is, protect your healthy time during the day, and which you were saying that, but you added a whole other dimension that I think most of us don't do, and that's the idea of shared calendars. So there's more visibility into the people who are close to you. So not just colleagues at work where you don't want them to schedule stuff on your calendar, but your family. So everyone can see where you are and what's going on. So there's better communication and more connected.
Yes.
Love it. Awesome. Okay, Arefa, I'll have to have you back. This was
really fun.
This was so incredibly fantastic. Thank you. So if people want to learn more about you and what you're up to and follow some of the good work you're doing, where can they go?
So I'm on Twitter, and my handle is at ArefaMD, so Arefa.
AREFA-MD.
And I'm on Facebook. I have a professional account that's public. And I'm on Instagram as well. So it's relatively easy to find me. There are not a lot of Arefa Cassoobhoys around. So if you Google that, you can find me. But I would love to get to know your audience better. I mean, I certainly have learned so much from you over the years that I'm sure the people that follow you, I would enjoy their company.
I'm sure they could learn a lot from you. So thank you all for listening and watching this week. And of course, 9 a.m. Eastern, every Tuesday morning, we have a new show. You can follow us at the WP Therapist, Twitter, or Facebook.com/Brandon Smith WPT, and continue the fight against dysfunction. Until the next time we meet again, have an awesome week and an awesome life.